on the bench today is my Atari video music. It's the model C240. Looks like this one was a demo. Whatever the case is, I bought this relatively cheap a few years ago on eBay. I mean, I don't think I paid more than about $100. These go for quite a bit. And I bought it because it didn't have a power supply, and it takes a very odd power supply. It's 16 volts AC, but you have a +9 and a -9, if you will. So it's a triple conductor input. And I had to take this power supply out of my inventory. These are hard to find. I just happen to have one, and it works. I have an actual transformer that I am going to install in here. And I don't like modding things, but this is a situation where I will, because I just don't like this big clunky power supply. But I'm going to put a transformer in here and then rewire this with a power cord. I'm also going to recap it. So let's give this a baseline and see how it works. And I have it hooked up to the tuner right now. I have some audio coming in. Here we go. So you have multiple shapes. This is solid, hole, ring, and then auto, where it goes to a bunch of them. Okay, like it does a bunch of different things. Then we have the scan rate, horizontal display and vertical. So you can choose like how this moves around, and it doesn't seem to have too much of an effect. And then there's this other one here. Like I said, a display. It looks like there's an auto. Anyways, here's my concern is I don't think this is as crisp as it should be. Granted, this is like an LCD monitor, and this is one of those RF channel 3 inputs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that power supply in here when it arrives. It's supposed to arrive today. Then I'm going to recap this. It has a total of 6 caps. They're pretty simple. So I've got them all ready. And I've got a new grommet for the power cord, which I will be feeding through the back here and then having it really nice and buttoned up. So I've already done deoxit on the controls. And I don't know. I mean, this is probably working the way it should. It's from the late 70s. I just feel like these caps probably should be replaced on principle, and perhaps some of the skewed color here would be a little bit clearer. I don't know. But you have contour, color, gain, and, you know, it bounces with the music. So anyways, that's our baseline. I'm going to go ahead and start replacing caps. The first cap I took out, which I tested, is actually supposed to be a 5 microfarad, and it's coming up at around 7.6. at 18 ohms. So this is definitely a bad cap. Let's compare it to a new one. Here's a new one, and I'm using 4.7s because I don't have 5s. Oh my gosh, that's 1.8 ohms at 4.4, which is a little bit under. But anyway, yeah, 4.7. So that's close enough. So these are like no-name brand caps that are in there, and they're bad. I'm going to test the second one, and we'll see what we get on that as well. And there's the second one. That's coming up at around 7 microfarads at 12 ohms, so very high resistance. So I'll be replacing all of these silver unbranded caps. Again, there's only 6 of them, but I've shown that they're bad. Actually, they are branded. The name is Temple. I've never heard of that brand. Okay, I've got the first 2 caps in and just did a sanity check to make sure I didn't break anything. Always good to check to make sure it's working. What I don't know is, you know, if it's necessarily working correctly. And yes, I replaced them in the controversial way. I'm not going to take this ribbon cable off, although I guess I have to get to this one. But I don't want to mess with taking this all apart. So I just cut this and neatly attached the, and resoldered the capacitors there. A lot of people, the purists, will say, oh, you got to take the whole board out. Well, because there's enough clearance and it's a clean looking job, we just did it that way, and this is not going to be bumped, moved, so I'm not that concerned. Let's go ahead and do the others now. Okay, all the 5 microfarads have been replaced. There's one there, and then there's the 2 up there. Again, these were 5 microfarads. I put 4.7s in. These are all measuring like 18 ohms resistance and much higher. Everything's back here. I was able to get this flexible cable in and out. It seems to be strong, but it could be brittle. And giving it a sanity check, still working, right? Always test along the way. Again, I don't know exactly what to expect. I looked at some other videos. This isn't going to be perfect. I'm not expecting it to be razor sharp because this is 1970s technology, but I actually feel like the colors might be a little more vivid and things might just be a little crisper since doing that. So the only remaining 2 are for the power supply, power section, which I don't expect to do much. So we're getting close. I'm going to go ahead and do these now. All right, 470. Let's see what we get. We get 657. So this is significantly higher. That's what happens with old caps, is usually they get higher. So anyways, yeah, that needs to be replaced. Definitely has gotten higher. Let's see what this 1000 microfarad, the last cap, tests at. 997, and it has low resistance. So this is the only cap that was dead on, but it's getting replaced anyways. And the last 2 have been completed. Again, you may not like the fact that I have them extended off the board. You may not like the fact I didn't take the whole thing apart, but that's okay. You can get your own and do it the way you like, but this is the way I roll. Let's give it a sanity check. And if I were a betting person, this is a little cleaner. The color separation and all that, just a little bit cleaner. I'm going to have to mess around with this some, but the modes are all working. I'm going to let this stay on for a little bit and let it just kind of burn in, just because we got the new caps. Anyways, there's one last part, and we're going to replace that power supply with an actual transformer. I'm going to mount it in here, and then I'm going to use this grommet, and I'm going to use an actual power cable, repurpose an old power cable, so this could just plug directly in the wall. I don't have to lug this custom odd power supply around with the large cord. So I'll be back when the mail arrives later. Okay, we have direct plug-in right now, and we have 120 volts going in here, and then the outputs are the plus minus 9 volts AC going in here, and there we go. Right now there's no audio, so it's going to do that. That's what I expected. So it's working. So we've got the electrical right. I have to find a place to properly mount this. I've got a couple screws ready, and then the grommet to pop this wire in the back so that it looks good. So I'll be back. All right, I've got the transformer mounted. I had to drill a couple holes, which I normally don't do, but I got some nice sheet metal screws with some nuts. Got everything connected. Also, I put a little bit of hot glue in the nut caps, just so that in the event that these get loose someday, they don't come off. I'm going to go ahead and cut this because this is the 240 volt wire, but I'll let this run a little bit, and then I just have to put a grommet in the back here so that this is tight. And there we go. I've got the grommet in right there. Goes into the 2 wire caps for the primary, and then the 3 outputs. I'm going to go ahead and cut this because I know I'm not going to need it. But I'm going to let this burn in, but I think we're in good shape, and then we'll do a full demo in a little bit. But I'm going to leave this on for about 15-20 minutes, maybe a half hour, I don't know. And the final product. Working great. Good color tone. The knobs, everything are working good. And then here's the back. Yep, there's 2 screws for I put the built-in transformer, but now we have an integrated plug that just goes directly into the wall. And then there's the RCA audio ins, and then this is the video out, which goes out to your TV. So feel good about this. We got this in great tip-top shape for the rest of my life, and hopefully someone else that takes this over someday.